Camp Ben McCullough is the topic of our subject in discussion today. We'd ask you to join us on Austin Faith Dialogue.
This is Austin Faith Dialogue, a public affairs program discussing the important crossroad of religion in life, produced by Austin Metropolitan Ministries in cooperation with KTBC TV. Austin Faith Dialogue highlights the interaction of the religious community with the social and cultural issues throughout our area. Now, today's edition of Austin Faith Dialogue.
Hello. Welcome back, and we're glad to have you once again on this edition of Austin Faith Dialogue when we look at one of the very growing faith traditions in our community. Hinduism has come to the United States in central Texas, and in a very special way that we'll have shared with us by our two guests today. Priyadasi, who is with the Ashram community there on Camp Ben McCullough Road, where that new construction has just also included a new temple. And we have a temple member here, Chandrika Amin. And we welcome you both and really look forward to having you share with us what Hinduism in the States means, and particularly in our area. And give us a little bit of a sense, Priyadasi, I know that you have been help interpret to the community what is happening with this faith tradition. And when did you come, and what's been happening since that time?
Well, the International Society of Divine Love came to Austin in 1990 when we purchased 200 acres of land southwest of town on Camp Ben McCullough Road. Since that time, we have been developing that site as our main U.S. center. International Society of Divine Love is an international organization, and it's a Hindu organization whose aim is to spread the true and original message of our Vedic scriptures throughout the world. So in 1990, we found the property, and we started renovating it and fixing it up. And in 1992, we began construction of the first Hindu temple in the Hill Country, and we inaugurated that temple this October.
In October of 1994?
94.
Okay. Chandrika, tell us a little bit about how you happen to have come to the Austin area into this worshiping community.
Well, we've been living in San Marcos for the last 16 years, and for any religious ceremony, events that happen in the Hindu calendar, we went to Houston or San Antonio. About 2.5 years ago, I found out and I learned about Barsana Dham. And I started visiting Barsana Dham, and I liked the discourses they gave. And later on, they started building the temple, and I started taking active part in it, and I liked what was going on there. So I joined the advising committee.
Okay, now Barsana Dham is the way that you refer to your ashram here in...
That's the whole 200 acres. Ashram is a place of spiritual living. So within the ashram is the temple and the residences and offices and everything. The ashram means the whole facility.
The complex. Right. Well, one thing that will, I think, help visualize this is that you've been gracious enough to provide us some footage of what that area looks like and what's going on there. So let's pause here to all take a look at that.
On October 15th and 16th, 1994, Mahatmas, devotees, community leaders, and dignitaries from around the world participated in the inauguration celebrations of the new ashram, Shri Raseshwari Radharani Temple at Barsana Dham, Austin, USA.
The blessings of Radhe will cause monuments to appear on this here earth through the great saints and sages like honored Swamiji.
The grace of God can be felt by places like this, where the Lord is inviting all people.
This Barsana Dham not be only serving the community of Texas, but one day will be serving to the communities of the whole world.
This mammoth place is going to echo millions of times God's name.
It is places like these that literally hold the world together.
His Divinity, Swami Prakash Anand Saraswati, founder of Barsana Dham and the Sri Raseshwari Radharani Temple. The celebrations began with traditional Hindu ceremonies and prayers. In a unique ribbon opening ceremony, a flower was released from the ribbon knot. It was a wonderful moment that had taken many years to come to fruition.
Well, those images that we have in that are something new to the hill country of Texas, aren't they? And tell us about who was there that was represented in that event.
Well, you saw the founder of Barsana Dham and the International Society of Divine Love.
Whose name was?
Swami Prakashananda Saraswati,
Uh-huh.
and we call him Swamiji. That means respected teacher.
Uh-huh.
So he founded Barsana Dham. It's actually all his dream to create such a devotional atmosphere for people to come closer to their experience of God in their life.
Now, is he from India?
Yes, he is.
And but he was almost like doing mission work in other places, like in the States.
Well, we wouldn't exactly call it that way because we don't try to convert anyone.
I see. All right.
But we do make known what we teach, and those that are interested find us.
Mm-hmm.
So Swamiji was there, as well as Hindu leaders, main Hindu leaders from India, the Caribbean, and the United States came to take part in the celebration. And that's very unique, not only for Austin, but for the United States, to have so many Hindu leaders at one place.
And you were saying before the show that Austin is the center or headquarters for this particular movement in the States.
Yes, the International Society of Divine Love's main center is here in Austin, and that Barsana Dham is our national retreat center for all of the members throughout the U.S. and from India, and all over the world, in fact, come to attend our programs there and our seminars. We have a month-long intensive program every year for an extended devotional retreat.
And I'm not sure, by the way, that Austin is the center of such religious activity for any other faith group. That's really something.
Well, we love it here. Since we came in '90, we have really learned to love it here, and the people have been so welcoming of us. All of our experiences have been very good, so we're very happy to be here.
Where is the international center for this particular movement?
It's in India, in northern India, in Vrindavan. It's a holy town, North India. And in fact, one of the things that really struck us about Barsana Dham is that its incredible similarity to the way that the Holy Land in India looks. I've been there, I've lived there for several years, and even the physical appearance of the two places are very similar. And for us, it's perfect because we want to feel that we're in the divine atmosphere. We do feel that way.
It gives you kind of a sense of being at home.
It's the topography.
Yeah.
It's the same as Barsana, the Vrindavan garden in India.
Chadrika, could you tell us a little bit about your home of origin and how you happen to come here?
We're from central West India, state of Gujarat, Baroda. And our parents came from there to East Africa, Kenya. We were born and raised in East Africa, Kenya.
Oh, so you went from, your family from India to Africa.
Africa. And then from there we came to London, lived in London for 10 years, and then came over to United States in 1978, and now we reside in San Marcos.
I know Mahatma Gandhi had at one time spent time in India as well before returning to, or in Africa before he returned to India. And so there was a pattern that your family was part of as well in that regard.
A lot of Indians who have come to United States are born in some other countries. Their parents have been residing in some other continents and then moved to London, and via London they came over here.
Okay.
That's the main history of a lot of people around in this Austin community. And some of them have come directly from India, from North India, Central India, and South India.
There's a large Indian community in Austin.
There's a large Indian community.
How many? Do you have any idea?
Probably around Austin, in the little suburban towns of Austin, and around Austin, there are about 1,000 plus families at present.
And so this center on Camp Ben McCullough provides a worship center and a community center for this population that's scattered around this Central Texas region.
For them, it's a place where they can go and have their devotional activities taken care of. Go to the temple whenever they feel like. The temple is open 24 hours, and they can just go and worship in the temple whenever they feel like.
Priyadasi, tell us a little bit about where you were born and how you happened to come to the faith.
Well, I'm originally from Idaho, and I became a Hindu when I was 9 years old, along with my parents. And it wasn't until I met Sri Swamiji and the International Society of Divine Love that I really became a practicing Hindu, you could say. My thoughts were always in that direction, reincarnation, karma, the purpose of life to attain God realization. I was always drawn to that and felt these things were facts and true. But when I met Swamiji, he not only could explain to me the path and the tradition and the knowledge in a way that completely satisfied my intellectual quest, but I also received through my association with him the experience of God in my life that I had wanted. I always knew that God was with me, and I knew that he had love for me, but I didn't feel that in my day-to-day life. And that I knew I could find somehow. And when I found this path and through his teachings, I started to experience what I hoped I would. So that was 10 years ago.
That's when it really hit home then?
Yes.
Well, after we return from, we're going to have to take a break here in a moment, but when we get back, we'll probe some of the meaning of the Hindu faith in your life and as you have known it to be true in the lives of others. We'll also we'll be having a look at another part of your footage that shows about that dedication ceremony of the temple. But we'd like to have you folks stay with us, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Serving Austin means serving you. That has always been the primary goal of Austin Metropolitan Ministries. We are religion in action through the work of these organizations. Each plays a key role in making the capital city a better place to live, but we can't do it alone. Do you have some spare time, talents, or any resources that you can share? If you do, please call AMM at 472-7627, because serving Austin means serving you.
Welcome back to Austin Faith Dialogue, and to this particular edition that has to do with the Hindu faith tradition in our community. And we're pleased to have two of the folks that can give us an understanding of that, have already started doing that. And just before the break, you were telling us a little bit about how you found your way into the faith. Your name when you were born was not Priyadasi?
No, that was given to me. When I took sannyas, or that's the monastic order of Hinduism, I took that about 5 years ago when I decided that I had found exactly what I was looking for, and that I wanted to dedicate my whole life to finding God.
I see.
So that's why I wear the traditional robes of a sannyasi.
That's the monastic robes?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
The color and the style of dress has been for thousands of years a symbol of dedication to God in India. So if somebody saw me walking down the street in India, they'd know that I was a sannyasi.
I see.
But most Hindus do not choose to take that, just as most Catholics are not clergy or priests or nuns. Most
Right.
Hindus are living a regular lifestyle, like Chandrika.
Uh-huh.
So this is just something that I chose to do, and it's made me very happy.
Well, I'm glad. I just think that you brighten our set today with your garb. And tell us a little bit about, you have marks on your foreheads. What those represent?
Mine is called a tilak, and it's a spiritual person would wear that to show you what exactly my faith is. And mine shows that I'm Vaishnav, which means I worship God in the form of Radha Krishna. And Chandrika can explain hers.
We normally, the married ladies in India, all in Hindu religion, they wear this is a symbol of a married woman.
I see.
Also the young women also wear that, but mainly it's a symbol of married woman.
Okay. Well, I have seen folks in the grocery store with that symbol on, and thanks for explaining that for me. I think as we become increasingly diverse in an international community, it helps to understand where others are coming from in
Definitely.
terms of their garb and their lifestyle. We have another footage here of the ceremony that took place, and I think we're going to have you explain that to us as this is shown.
Okay. This is some of the property. Barsanadam is 200 acres. This is in the springtime. And this is a view of the property from Barsana Hill, one of the beautiful hills of the hill country. When we got the property, it was in terrible state of disrepair. Nobody had been there for many years, so we were really busy. The community rallied together to fix it up and make it really a beautiful place. In October of '92, we laid the foundation stone for the temple, which is a traditional way of starting the construction. And the construction has been going on. It's still going on. Even though we inaugurated the temple in October of this year, '94, it's not quite completed, but we are using the temple. We've won several awards for the architecture of the temple. The construction company that we use has also won some awards for its innovative design, and it's built to last. The temple is mainly cement construction. You saw for a minute there the artists that we have from India who are doing the detail work on the temple. It's a traditional style of ornamenting the temple, and they've been doing that for thousands of years. Not these particular ones, but that's their ancestry. So they're with us doing that beautiful work. And when the temple is finished, it will be a real showcase for this beautiful style of architecture. That's going into the main doors of the temple during the inauguration celebrations. We had about 2,000 visitors for the 2 days from not only our area, but as far away as from India, New Zealand, Europe, to take part in it. It was a very devotional experience for those who took part in it, a very powerful experience. You're seeing now the Mahatmas, or the spiritual leaders, as they were giving discourses, religious lectures about the significance of the temple and what Sri Swamiji is providing through the ashram and the Sri Raseshwari Radharani temple. During the 2 days, we had terrible weather, and so we had to provide all of the meals in makeshift circumstance. This is, on the large veranda of the temple, we served all of the meals. And these are the community members. I think Chandrika, we just saw Chandrika on tape, preparing food. It was a really wonderful 2 days. This is in the afternoon of both those days. We had cultural programs in celebration of the opening, and we had a multicultural program. Not only did we have classical and folk Indian performances, but we had Irish, Mexican, Texan performances to illustrate that devotion to God really goes beyond all of the boundaries of culture and society. And we do have Hindus of all nationalities, so that was also represented through the program. These are enactments of devotional stories from our scriptures, and it was I think Chandrika can also say the same, that it was an amazing 2 days of that's going to live in my memory for.
Well, now I saw a little Texas square dancing there at
Of
the end. How
course.
did that get in there?
Because we have Texans who are Hindus.
I see. Okay.
And they wanted to
Yes.
celebrate it in their style. So
And all those children who were participating came from San Antonio, Temple, and Dallas, from far away places just to perform in this inauguration ceremonies.
Right, so it was
Because-
statewide and actually sounded like worldwide as far as the
Right.
attendees were
The
concerned.
ashram, because it's something very unique. There are a lot of Hindu temples in the United States, actually.
Really?
Yeah, around the world, but this temple is unique around the world because it's an entire environment that was created to uplift our feelings of relation with God, affinity. It's called bhakti in Sanskrit. So it's unique in that the whole environment is dedicated to that. The 200 acres, we're creating places around the property to represent holy places in India, so that the whole place becomes a temple, not just the actual shrine.
Oh, I see. So you make use of the whole property
we
in that
do,
way.
yes.
You know, as I watched that, I suspect I had some responses that viewers might have in terms of, I'd like to go out there and see that.
Oh!
How are there visiting hours, or how do you arrange that?
Anytime.
Anytime, yeah. It's a place of public worship. So we have worship services open to the public on Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings at 7:30. But anytime anyone's driving by on 1826, they're welcome to come in. In fact, we have it every weekend. We have a few people that just said, I saw the temple from the road, and we wanted to come in. And
Sure.
they can have a tour, look around.
Right, so
There's always somebody there to show you around and give you a tour of the temple.
And really, the Hindu belief is that anyone who worships God is worshiping the same one God, because he's only one. So we welcome anyone of any faith to attend any of our programs or visit us at any time. That's inherent within our faith in God.
Well, I think that the setting there is, what you're saying, adds to that faith dimension for you, because it offers a support for what your beliefs are.
Right.
And you're talking about those beliefs you'd be able to sense on the worship services, you say Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. It's not in the mornings, it's in the evenings.
And there's a Sunday satsang from 11 to 12:30 in the morning, which the discourses of the Swamiji's speeches are in Hindi. So a lot of Indians come for the satsang.
The reading of his teachings?
Yes.
Yes, in Hindi.
Oh, in Hindi.
In
I
Hindi.
see. In other words, in the original language, that folks who understand that can come and hear it in that way.
Our services include meditation, both silent and chanting meditation, and knowledge in the form of a lecture by Sri Swamiji. And then we conclude with a traditional ceremony which is called Arti, which is offering our love and respect to God.
Do you sing hymns?
Well, chanting is like a hymn.
Okay. You don't have a hymn book, though?
We do.
Do you? All
But we
right.
call it a chanting book.
Chanting book.
Chanting
All right. And I think the other thing is that if folks come who are unfamiliar with it, would they be able to join in right away?
Yes, they take the book, and the chanting is one person chants, and then it's repeated after the first line of chanting. So they can repeat it. It's in our Hindi language. So
But it's
easy.
translated, so.
I'd like to ask you in the several minutes we have left a couple of faith questions.
Okay.
Because I know that from the general understanding of Hinduism, you hear the analogy that people are following many paths but up the mountain but leading to the same summit. Does that fit your perception of what gives Hinduism its shape?
Well, in Hinduism there are 3 paths to God described. Path of Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. But all three of those paths are the same in that in order to reach God, you have to receive the grace of God. So basically, there are three different styles of receiving God's grace.
Okay.
And
What about the views of other religions like Christianity and Buddhism and Islam and so on? How would you interpret their striving toward God?
well, they're striving for the same God, but in a
Same.
different way, different style, but it's to the same God.
Mhm.
But we Hindus believe that God is only one. But if there's any college professors watching or any students that are taking a world religions class, they'd probably take issue with that, when in fact, if you asked almost the 1 billion Hindus in the world how many gods there are, they would say there's one.
Just one.
But he's infinite. He can't be limited by our material definitions. So
Mhm.
that's why you see different forms of God represented. And people sometimes confuse that as being different gods.
You use the word he, or do you see this one God as male?
No, God is one, but he has infinite divine forms.
Okay.
And we don't use male or female because those are material definitions. The reason I say he, and I also say she, is because you can't say it for God.
Mm-hmm.
God is personal.
Personal.
Everyone
Okay.
knows that, but nobody says it in any language. They
Mhm.
call him he or she.
Okay. You need to alternate, though. Equal treatment sort of thing.
And depending on what they believe in, you can choose whatever you
But
want
actually, yeah, our temple is the Sri Raseshwari
which is
Radharani
she.
temple.
Well, one of the things that occurs to me is that the very foundation of Hinduism has a tolerance built into it. I mean, that gives definition to it. And I think the fact that in the United States there is an openness to various faith traditions of the world, and that you can find a home in Central Texas like this is a testimony to what our society and the Judeo-Christian emphasis on tolerance has in common with what comes from India in that regard.
Yes.
And so we're looking forward to, not just today, to learning about this, but maybe coming out to see it.
Anytime you're welcome.
And we're really glad to have especially had this ceremony that was part of a worldwide response to see on the videotape. Thanks for providing that,
Sure.
Priyadasi. And we'd like to invite you all back. Amin, and have you folks come back again next week on our next edition of Austin Faith Dialogue. I'm Richard Thompson, extending peace to each of you. Good day.